So Snoop, Nelly, Rick Ross, Soulja Boy, Rod Wave have all decided to perform at events surrounding Donald Trump's presidential inauguration. My biggest question, what would Tupac say?
Trap music history expert A.R. Shaw.
A.R. Shaw. A.R. Shaw. A.R. Shaw. A.R. Shaw.
A.R. Shaw, author of Trap History, Atlantic Culture, and the Global Impact of Trap Music.
Welcome back to the channel. This is A.R. Shaw, A.R. Shaw TV. I am the author of the book Trap History, Atlantic Culture, and the Global Impact of Trap Music. You can check it out at Amazon at traphistory.com. I want you guys to share, like, please give us a follow. That would be helpful. Now, so we're going to get right into it. Snoop Dogg, Rick Ross, Nelly, Soulja Boy, Rod Wave have all decided to perform at events surrounding Donald Trump's presidential inauguration. Now, it's gotten a lot of pushback, especially on social media, in terms of people not really agreeing with the decision of several rappers choosing to perform for the 47th president. Now, I'm filming this today, January the 20th, which is MLK Day. So happy MLK Day to you all. But it's also the inauguration day of Donald J. Trump, who's back in office. Now, I want to kind of go back into just give a little history of why I think some people are upset with Snoop, Rick Ross, Nelly, some of the other artists that have decided to perform for Donald J. Trump as he ascends to the White House again. I think that I think when we think about hip hop, I think a lot of people look at hip hop in the same vein as black leaders, and I'm gonna tell you why. So in the history of hip hop, we can go back to the 70s, the 80s, when hip hop was just starting. You have to understand that a lot of those artists who were coming up in that time period, they were pretty much raised by Malcolm X, Dr. Martin Luther King, the Black Panthers, things of that nature. So there was a lot of, you can see the crossover between the Black Power movement and the hip hop movement, because it was like a voice for the voiceless. Hip hop became, a musical platform that not just a platform of music just for people to party and have a good time, but it was also a platform that talked about the social ills of underserved communities, whether it was in the Bronx, New York, whether it was in Compton, California, whether it was in Chicago, Detroit, the Bay Area, Atlanta, Miami. Hip hop was almost like what Chuck D would call it, the CNN of Black America. And so we can understand now why certain people who choose to become rappers, they are held to a higher standard in a lot of ways because of that connection between that Black Power movement from the 60s transition to what was happening in the 80s, in the 70s, and the 90s in hip hop. And so we see that connection. Artists like KRS-One, Chuck D, Tupac, they were all outspoken in terms of what was happening within these communities across America. Now, I want to kind of break down in terms of just like, just the whole the juxtaposition of what's happening now with Snoop Dogg, Rick Ross, Nelly, all choosing to perform with Trump, and why people are upset. So I want to start with Snoop. So Snoop is I won't put him in the same vein as a Nelly or Rick Ross or Soulja Boy or Rod Wave. Snoop is pretty much what we can consider the biggest or the most known rapper of our generation. You gotta understand, grandmothers know Snoop, little kids know Snoop. People who have never even heard of Snoop's a Snoop Dogg album they know who Snoop is. He's that famous. Like, he's arguably the most famous rapper of all time. We can really argue that. But another thing about Snoop is that Snoop really, he was someone who always, it seemed like he stood on principle in a lot of ways. Now, years ago, 2017, he went at some of the black artists who decided to perform at Trump's 2017 inauguration. So I want you guys to take a look of what Snoop said in 2017. And this video is going viral.
So ain't nobody gonna perform for Donald Trump, huh? Which one of you jigaboo ass gonna be the first one to do it? I'm waiting. I'm gonna roll one of you Uncle Tom ass gonna do it first. Osby's the one that performs for himself.
So, along with those words that he had for those black artists who decided to perform for Trump in 2017, Snoop also released a video called Lavender, where he just going at Trump hard. I mean, he basically called Trump pretty much everything. Pretty had a Trump lookalike in the video, dressed as a clown. It was hilarious. It was it was an interesting time. So the biggest question now is what happened between 2017 when Snoop had those feelings about Trump to now. Like, so for some background, Snoop decided to perform at the Crypto Ball, which is basically a celebration of the crypto community that supported Donald Trump's efforts to for reelection. And along with Snoop, Rick Ross, Soulja Boy, they were also at this ball. Now, give you some backstory on this ball. Trump also released a meme coin, a form of cryptocurrency, that night, and the next day he released he released another form of cryptocurrency under his wife's name. So, as we see now, he hasn't been in the office one day in the White House, and he's already making moves that you would kind of consider a little bit interesting for a president to launch his own meme coin, uh, in a sense of we're gonna wait and see what happens. But there's a lot of people invested in the meme coin of Trump. A lot of people invested in Melania's meme coin. Some people have lost money already, so we're just gonna wait and see what happens. Some people are calling it a grift, but we're gonna wait and see what happens. It just seems very unusual for a sitting president to launch his own coin. And so moving forward, Nelly, we want to get on Nelly. So Nelly, he had some words. He actually gave the first interview to Willie D of the Ghetto Boys. Of those who know the legendary Ghetto Boys out of Houston, Texas, Willie D has a podcast, and Nelly was attempting to explain himself and the reason why he decided to perform at Trump inauguration. And this is what he said.
Gotten money to do that. I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this because it's an honor. I respect the office. It don't matter who is in office. The same way that our men and women, our brothers and sisters who protect this country, have to go to war and have to put their life on the line for whoever in office. So if they can put their life on the line for whoever in office, I can damn sure perform for whoever.
So I'm going to start this off by saying that, I've interviewed Nelly multiple times during my career as a journalist. He's a cool guy, always been gracious in our interactions. But I have some problems with this commentary and his rebuttal as to why he decided to perform at Trump's inauguration. And for me, I would rather for Nelly to just come out and say, look, I don't care what anybody thinks. This is why I just did it because I wanted to do it. And to try to explain himself in a way and to kind of almost deflect the things that Trump has been a part of. And I just thought that was kind of dangerous. And it wasn't really, I don't think it was a wise decision for Nelly to come out in that manner without being prepared to kind of have the background and the knowledge to understand some of the things that Trump has done in the past, and also understand why people are upset. Now, he kind of related his performance to a union that has to still fight for the country, regardless of who is the president. On a rant saying that, of course, Joe Biden was the one who did the crime bill. He was the one with the three strikes you out. Joe Biden was the one who authored, legislation in regards to a crime bill that led to mass incarceration. We do have to acknowledge that, but it's still a deflection. It's still a deflection as to what Trump represents and the people who follow Trump, what they represent. I want to bring in Tupac because Tupac is someone who, as I said before, in terms of hip hop having that connection to that Black Power movement, Tupac was one of those voices that kind of spoke out for the community, that spoke out about institutional issues that's been impacting Black America for decades following slavery. And so Tupac was a good person to articulate these issues. And so In 1992, Tupac had pretty much a message for Donald Trump and his connection to capitalism. And this is what Tupac had to
This
say.
world is such a and when I say this world, I mean it. I don't mean in an ideal sense. I mean in every day, every little thing you do. It's such a gimme, gimme, gimme. Everybody back off. You know, everybody's like, you taught that from school, everywhere. Big business. You want to be successful? You want to be like Trump? Gimme, gimme, gimme. Push, 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 push. Step, step, step. Crush, crush, crush. That's how.
And so, as we see now, those words by Tupac, I don't think that Tupac would have done what Snoop and Nelly and Rick Ross did if we seen this version of what Tupac represented then, and he remained that version of Tupac. I can't see a day where Tupac would perform at an inauguration presented by Donald Trump. Now, I want people to understand that when it comes to politics, when it comes to engaging with a typical an atypical politician like Donald Trump, because Donald Trump doesn't really represent what we would all think of as a political leader. I'm not really I don't really care about in terms of entertainers who uh, feel like they could change someone's mind by going to uh, the president and being involved and is in a circle and being able to change from within. No, I want our political leaders to get those opportunities, those individuals who have that experience to go in to talk to Trump about these issues that can directly impact certain communities. And so there is going to have to be some type of connection, and you have to have some type of communication with Trump and individuals who are in his team. But at the same time, it's not going to come from entertainers who don't really have the depth and the knowledge to really speak on these issues in an articulate way. Now, just going back to Nelly and his stance in terms of he questioned what did Trump do that was racist. There was several things that Trump did, over the decades. Of course, the housing discrimination in the 1970s, discriminating against black residents. Of course, taking out a full-page ad on the Central Park 5, calling for their execution. Of course, the birther situation with which basically launched Donald Trump's political career. He basically claimed that Barack Obama was not a citizen of the United States of America, and you had people, mostly individuals who embrace racism. Those are the people who pretty much gravitated towards this birther movement against President Barack Obama, because of course it can never be a black person as intelligent, as smart, as capable as Barack Obama who could achieve what he did. This person can't be American, right? But that's what launched his career. Moving forward, we can go into the individuals who Donald J. Trump selected to be on the Supreme Court during his first tenure. Those individuals, now that you have a right-leaning Supreme Court, which is 6-3 Republican versus Democrat, now you have the elimination of affirmative action. And once you eliminate affirmative action, you eliminate the opportunities of a lot of black and brown students getting opportunities to achieve higher educations on certain college campuses. With that affirmative action ban or rollback on affirmative action, we've seen the rollback on DEI efforts, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now we're seeing these corporations basically saying that, okay, they're going to roll back the efforts of DEI and things of that nature. And the argument around DEI is that there is no black person capable of doing any job that is prominent role, right? That's really what the argument about DEI is. There are people out there who really don't believe that black people have the knowledge and the capability or the skill to get to a higher position in any place, right? They believe that they only got there based on their skin color. And today, during Donald Trump's inauguration, he basically said that he wants to get rid of any race-based initiatives and basically go back to things that are merit-based. Now, if you look at some of Donald J. Trump's recent hires in terms of individuals who he wants to join his cabinet, there are a lot of people who were not qualified per se to be in those positions. And so we have to kind of watch what's happening right now. And that's why, it's important for us to not fall into the trap of, falling behind with, these celebrities in terms of what these rappers and who they're deciding to get next to, because like I say, it does a disservice to the communities that help raise them and help put them on that platform. Now, the drawback is this. Now, people don't understand that, of course, like he's a legend. Snoop is always going to be a legend. He's someone who pretty much knocked down a lot of doors in hip hop in terms of just making hip hop mainstream. Before Snoop, before Death Row Records, hip hop wasn't selling that much in terms of just like global success. Snoop Dogg was one of the first global rap artists, right? And so we can't knock the things that Snoop has done in the past, but we have to think about, like, you got to understand, Snoop can go to any corporation and get a paycheck. So that was one reason why I was trying to figure out, why would Snoop decide to do this inauguration for Trump, knowing that it counters everything that he represents in his brand, right? Snoop has to understand that you're only as good as the base that's always going to ride for you, right? Because those corporations, they know they are looking too. And if there's a mass amount of people that say, okay, this guy isn't cool anymore, this guy isn't someone who we want to follow, then we can see those deals become, less and less. You're only as good as that base that's going to always hold you up. And the black community has always held up Snoop. They've always held up, Nelly, Rick Ross, those artists. And so it's like, if you lose that base and you lose the people that actually, support you, I mean, that could be a detrimental to your brand. And then you got to ask yourself, is it really worth it? This paycheck really worth it? And so, moving forward, again, Donald Trump is the president of the United States, the 47th president. And we do have to respect the office, but at the same time, you always can fight. You can always fight for your rights. You can always make sure that you're reaching out to your local officials, your local politicians, people who can actually do the things and put together bills that's going to really impact your community from a local standpoint. But I don't, if we go back to just what I was saying earlier about hip hop in terms of where hip hop started as a place or a space where the voiceless could have a voice, I think now we're in dangerous territory, because we're allowing prominent artists to feel like they can be in mainstream society while also reaping the benefits of the coolness and the culture of what hip hop represents. So again, I am AR Shaw. Thanks for taking the time to check out this video. You can follow me, AR Shaw TV. Like, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, AR Shaw 23. You can also check out my book, Trap History, Atlanta Culture, and the Global Impact of Trap Music. I'll see you guys next time.